Folks, this is a third recording from this series on the election of 1912, that vicious, nasty election. This is President Taft talking on prosperity, recorded in 1912. Now, I have to say, it was a really nasty election, as I have said before. You had Woodrow Wilson, Theodore Roosevelt, and William Howard Taft all running for the presidency. They had been president, was president, or would be president. The only time in our history we have anything quite like this. I must say also that it was vicious. Theodore Roosevelt was attacking Taft. Woodrow Wilson was attacking Taft. Taft was facing a two-fronted war. There was no way he could survive. And in the end result, the Republican Party fractured. Woodrow Wilson would win. Theodore Roosevelt, as a progressive, would come in second, and President Taft would come in third. Taft, probably, if Woodrow Wilson had been nice to him, and I'm sure he was not too bad, but if Theodore Roosevelt had been nice to him, they might have been able to work out a deal. Theodore Roosevelt might have said, I'll wait till 1916. But he wasn't going to do that. He was out to get Taft. And it became a really vicious fight. Taft even said that a rat, when cornered, will fight. And he had reached the point where he started fighting back. He had grown tired of the attacks of Theodore Roosevelt, which were really massive and nasty. And eventually, many people will look upon the election of 1912 at Theodore Roosevelt and realize that Roosevelt was acting pretty much like a horse's ass. So here we are, President Taft talking on prosperity on a Victor record recorded in 1912.
Before all reform, before all changes, before every other consideration and importance, is the furnishing to the people the means of living, the means of enjoying comfort in their lives, and of educating their children, of making their homes attractive. And all this depends upon the high rate of wages, the great demand for labor, and the continuance of prosperity and good business. How foolish the American people would be to hazard the continuance of this by voting into a party whose first declared principle is hostility to the policy of protection upon which our business is conducted. Under a Republican administration, there's nothing to fear from the policy of Congress in respect to the tariff or any other economic policy which will disturb business or frighten capital. With the incoming of a Democratic administration, and if it comes in, it's difficult to see how it can come in without absolute control of both houses of Congress. I ask the business interests of this country, I ask the wage earners, whether when they receive the news the day after the election that there's to be absolutely democratic control of the financial and economic problems of this country after the 4th of March, whether even mere doubt as to what the Democratic Party would do with this power in respect to the tariff would not halt and paralyze business. I ask then whether when the time comes, and we might reasonably expect the change which is to take away the protection from our protected industries, and so injure or destroy them, we would not see the prosperity which is now making everyone happy fade away. And if we would not be met with those dreadful symptoms of panic and hard times, with which, fortunately, only the older of the present generation are familiar.